103.7 KVIL, continuous soft rock. Cowboys try to redeem themselves today after last week in San Francisco.
While studying musical theater at Alvin Community College, Linda O'Brien's dream was to work on Sesame Street. Then she was asked to record some liners for the campus station, KACC. From that point on, it was all about radio. Linda's voice has been heard around the state, around the country, and around the world. As for Texas radio, some of the stations where she has worked include KLTY, KSCS, and KVIL in Dallas, and at KILT in Houston. Nationally, Linda has been an air personality for the ABC Radio Network in Westwood One. She's been the host of the American Christian Music Review since 1994. Currently, Linda hosts The Countdown, a country show from KRS Audio Productions. Linda says, I've had the opportunities to go everywhere from New York to Los Angeles, Miami to Seattle, and I've never wanted to be anywhere but Texas. I'm a fifth-generation Texican, and there's no place like home. Please welcome Linda O'Brien to the Texas Radio Hall of Fame.
I don't know if you could tell from that last thing that he said about being a fifth generation. It wasn't a fifth generation Texan, which is true. I'm a fifth generation Texican. And I'm very proud of that. To be sitting here in this section, I'm looking at these people. I mean, I adore so many of these people. First thing, when I would drive to KSCS in the morning, I would listen to the Musers. Just absolutely, they just kept me sane. Smokey Rivers, Chris Huff, fierce competitors of mine for forever, but I have always loved them and they know that. And David Rankin and I go back to our days in Houston. I mean, it's just Rudy Fernandez. It's just really great to be there. My friend Debbie Alcacer, who was here last year, stood here and she said, write it all down because you will forget. And she tried to read it off her cell phone. She says, don't do that. Professionally, I need to thank the folks at KACC, Alvin Community College, Kathy Forsyth, who is in this Texas Radio Hall of Fame, and Tom Bowen, who challenged me to switch from studying, from being a recording engineer, I wanted to work in musical theater, and head over to the dark side and do college radio. And I had no idea that first semester on the media side of campus would change the whole direction of my life. I'm so thankful for so many people, especially people in the early years, folks like Rick Candia from KILT, who for decades was always my first call whenever I was going to make a career move. Some of those guys who taught me so much. Chuck Tiller is here, Archie Yancey, my brother Ron Samuels, Chuck Joseph, the late Gary Ryder, of course Jim Lago, who, when it was announced that I was going to be an inductee, I voiced his presentation. His wife sent me a picture of Jim smiling, saying, this is how Jim feels. It just blew my mind. Also, some of my friends, Angela Brooks from KLOL, Brian Hill, KILT, Terry Ayler, who if you worked with us in Houston, you know Terry Ayler from KLIVE and KRBE. If you worked with her in Dallas, you know her as Nadine Bodette. David Trumbo, who was my buddy from that very first recording class that we had in Alvin. To this day, he's my producer. We work every single day on voiceover projects, from station imaging to commercials, all kinds of stuff. Terry and Sally Wright, Dale and Joyce Turns, the legendary Dick Clark, who believed in our little syndicated radio show of taking 2 hours of Christian music and country music and playing it on secular country stations because we believed that the country music audience, who said for the most part they were church-going, wanted to hear something other than drinking and cheating songs in the morning. We reached about 2 million people every Sunday morning with that little show, and it was just great to be able to play what I call Jesus music on secular stations across the country. Bob Kingsley, the ultimate country music authority, no offense, Lon Helton, who I know is here. Bob Kingsley, my mentor, my friend, eventually my boss, who always joked with me before I moved to any other station that I need to make sure that the check's cleared. Teachers like Dan O'Day, Bob Magruder, Jerry Houston, Dick Orkin, who told me not to put all of my eggs in one basket and to consider doing a little more voiceover to supplement this radio gig just in case things ever went sideways, which we did a few times. On that note, a big thank you to the late Mark Ryder, a wonderful producer, and Buddy Holliday, who signed me up to do imaging for KSBJ. This is so special to me because it was my very first station. I knew nothing about radio imaging, but they would have me come in. I was working at Kilt at the time, which is crazy, that they would have me come into this Christian station and do these liners and remind people in Houston that God listens. I love KSBJ and love the people that were there, and Buddy was just amazing. Also, thanks to my record guys, Greg Sachs, I know Jay Jensen here, John Trepayne, who did so much for a lot of us to get into the Texas Radio Hall of Fame. Thank you very much. My mama is here. If you follow me on Facebook, you know we just came back from a week-long trip all over Texas. One of my favorite parts was checking out all these little small stations around the state. My mama, who's 86 years old, in great health, and the fact that she's here to celebrate with me is a blessing I never take for granted. She and Dad both instilled in me an early love for music and likely rearranged my DNA and left me with no choice but to choose a career where I got unimaginable joy from telling everybody about this great new song that I just heard. And for friends on Facebook, you've heard me talk about Old Red, love of my life. Ron Gorski is right here. Who is a P1 to Dallas-Fort Worth Radio, loves the radio, and is a huge fan of what we do, and my #1 encourager. My twins, Tom and April, who also got dragged around to a lot of shows since they were 1. Thankfully, they still love live music. And my granddaughter, Brooke, who is an amazing songwriter, but who I warn can get a publishing deal, but in no way, shape, or form can she be in the music business. Also here, my sister-in-law and partner in crime, but if any of you ever had jingles done at Jam Creative or Thompson Creative, or maybe you did stuff at Luminous, then you already know my sister-in-law. Julia Sizemore is here. She is a force of nature. And it was Powerline. I don't know how many of you remember that radio show, Powerline. And Powerline was John Rivers, who's like what I call the voice of God. John Rivers, brother John Rivers, who encouraged me to move to Dallas from Houston to do this little startup in Dallas called KLTY back in 1989, one of my best career moves ever. Debbie Roberts, my very first Dallas friend who worked directly with John to make sure that place ran smoothly, my kindred spirit. Like me, she's a card-carrying member of the Mother of Twins Club, and she's a rock star in her own right. Debbie is here with me today as well. I'm grateful for all of them to be here. Like many of you, I've had a lot of incredible experiences in radio, from riding in the Goodyear Blend to taking Merle Haggard grocery shopping to talking about what heaven's going to be like with Willie Nelson. I mean, the list is entirely too long, but you know what the best part of it has been? Telling the listeners about this great new song that I just heard. Now, someone once told me early on, it was Bob Magruder who told me that when you're on the air, you're basically hosting a party. Now, those who know me well know that I live to throw parties. And radio for me has been a fitting career for somebody who loves to read, likes most people, and loves music. But for me, it was always, always, always about the music. And if I couldn't be the girl singer for Asleep at the Wheel, then radio was going to be it. Thank you for including me in this great class of people that I've listened to for so many years. A lot of you know you have my affection and my respect. And like a good party host and somebody who loves radio promotions as well, as a parting gift, if you will, take a look at your chairs. If you see a green dot at the bottom right leg of your chair, you're going to win something. And let me just say, it's from my personal favorite DJ, Willie Nelson. Thank you, everybody, Texas Radio Hall of Fame.